Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Journey to Jerusalem, the story of Holy Week. This is part 7, Divine Mercy. We're talking about Divine Mercy because in the Jubilee of 2000, Pope John Paul II established the Sunday after Easter as Divine Mercy Sunday. So we're going to begin by defining our terms. What's love and how's mercy a form of love? Pope John Paul II gives us a great first principle. Love is the fundamental and innate vocation of every human being. So every person has a vocation. Now you've got callings, to marriage, religious life, single life. You've got callings in terms of, am I going to be a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, whatever. But deeper than all of those things, and what informs all of those things is I'm called to love and to be loved. And these specific ways in which I do that are all related to the deeper vocation, the universal vocation that everybody has. Right from the beginning, as God created Adam and Eve, of all the creatures that are made, one of these things is not like the others, and it's the human person. All of the creatures, wildebeest and buffaloes, and they all love God and worship God in their own way. Trees. We're the only ones who freely love and can be loved as persons, and that's why Adam and Eve have this first vocation, that the two to become one is marriage vocation. So we're the only creatures who can freely love and be loved. C.S. Lewis has a great book called The Four Loves and some simple distinctions here. We use the word in English, right? I love hot dogs, I love my mother, I love God, all the same. And in Latin and Greek, they have different words. We don't really need to take anything right now, but a couple distinctions. First is a form called affection, and that's what you have for the most basic. First group they're all born into is your family. Parents for kids, siblings. Also, any group that you're part of that you didn't really choose. You join a school, you have classmates, you join a team, on the team that you're around a lot and you develop an appreciation for them. But family is the great model of that. A love called friendship, which is now where 2 people or 3 people or 4 people within the group have something more in common. And it's a total free choice. Whereas family, you don't choose your parents, you don't choose your kids. Whereas friendship is all about, usually we have something we love. We love chess, we love bowling, we love paintball, or whatever. It could even be bad things, the bad friendships. We get together and we steal and whatever. So there's something brings you together, and what you love and is determines whether it's a healthy friendship or not, and what you're doing, what you're cultivating in each other. What we usually mean in our culture, love is romantic love or spousal love, and this also again is involves a free choice in terms of you can't force someone to love you this way, and it's the most emotional, the most intense. It's the one that most promises, oh, this is going to be eternal happiness. If I could just be, if Otis could just be with Lulu, and Lulu could be with Otis, we're going to be happy forever. We don't need anything at all. That's the kind of fire it gets going. Whereas, affection, I love my brother and sister. We have a good time playing checkers and chess, but you don't like have this wah, 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 hubba, hubba, feeling that comes with eros is the Greek word. And finally, divine love, which we're going to talk a lot about today. Caritas is the word in Latin. We hear charity, we tend to think of it as giving money to the poor, which is a great thing. It's a lot more than that. So, for example, on the far left, you see this Socrates, the death of Socrates is about to die. So there's a guy who's going to die for the truth, but that's still not divine love. It's very heroic, but he's dying because of his fidelity for the truth. Whereas, say, John Paul there in the middle, shaking hands with the guy who tried to kill him years earlier. And you meet and he hugs the guy. That's loving the person, loving your enemy, so to speak, dying for your enemy. There's Mother Teresa with the way she moved the whole world by helping people in the gutters and finding guys who are dying there with maggots the size of your finger on them, not to be gross, but people who nobody could look at them and love them. And by simply washing and caring for them, she became the most famous woman in the whole world, because we know this is different. This is not the kind of stuff you meet every day. John Paul says, man cannot live without love. He remains a being that is incomprehensible for himself. His life is senseless if love is not revealed to him. Think about the worst moments of your life. It could be the kid in first grade who's so petrified and afraid. It could be in teen years when you feel really alone and not, you don't know you have dignity. It could be in a nursing home later in life, any point in our life. Think about how the experience of love, or the lack of experience, or what we think is the lack of it, how that affects us. And then the difference when all of a sudden, the little first grade, he makes one friend. and everything changes. Now school is great and I love to go, or junior high, high school, nursing home, again, wherever. Just one person, it makes my life make sense again, and people start to flourish, and the personality comes out. I'm not afraid anymore because touch the taproot of who we are. Now all of a sudden our life makes sense. What does it mean? I love you means it's good that you exist, and this is one of those really basic things that Joseph Pieper points out. Like, wow, that really is a great definition. That goes right back to Genesis chapter 1. It's kind of obvious. It's right in front of our face. God creates the mountains and the animals, and he looks at them. This contemplation, is wondering. It's, oh wow, it's good. It's good that you exist. So when we love a child, a person, a Hershey bar, a chocolate milkshake, donuts, which, oh, I love this, I love that. What we're saying is, it's really good that this person exists. The world would be different if there were no such thing as Krispy Kreme donuts. The world would not be as good if you weren't here. So that's really what we're saying, is that goodness is there. And the most basic truth in your life is that it's good that you're here. Now, if you add the word if to that, okay, it's good that you exist if, or it's good that I exist if, I'm good looking, or I think I'm good looking. My grades make me feel good. The trophies I have make me feel good. My bank account makes me feel good. The number of likes I have make me feel good. How much attention I'm getting, whatever it may be. Anytime we put an if in there, and boy, we do that all the time, we're getting out of the way God sees us. And we're not seeing ourselves, we're not seeing others the way God sees us. Because, when a baby is born, when we're all born, there's no if. We love you if, can you do a push-up? Can you stand up? You're 6 months, you haven't really rolled over yet. You're not contributing to the family economy. There are no ifs. It's the most basic ground floor of your life, that just because you're here, you deserve to be loved. That's what John Paul says in Theology of the Body, that the kind of person, the kind of creature, that the only appropriate response is love. It's good that you exist, and you deserve that for no other reason that you are. And we're so into all we can't think about people except the labels of, are they conservative, are they liberal, are they Republican, Democrat, are they American, are they whoever, these things they exist, but those aren't anywhere near the most important thing about you. Sir Elton John here. It's a great line, though, he has in one of his songs. How wonderful life is while you are in the world. That's a great way to put it. And how often we don't appreciate how wonderful it is, the people around me, most importantly, that they're here, and to get a sense of our own. And that's not pride, that's not self-worship, to be grateful and amazed that I exist as a person. That's not egoism. We'll get there. That is a bad thing. But self-hatred and self-deprecation, that's not humility. It's not healthy. That God made you and me, and what a great thing, what a great gift it is to exist and to be a person. How does it work? Love means desire. St. Augustine talks about the 4 basic emotions in life. He boils it to 4. St. Thomas Aquinas has 11. All interesting stuff. But the basic thing of love is desire. I see this as good. So, I love my little girl. I love donuts. So the fact that you right away have desire for something shows you love it. You see it as good. It's automatic. And when you love something, you want to become one with it. Again, Book of Genesis, the two become one. I love the donut. I see the donut. I want to become one with the donut. And when the donut and I become one, we experience joy. It's kind of blocked out by the screen there, but when the two become one, that's what joy is. Unity with the beloved. And it makes difference where you find your joy, because you can find impersonations and false joys in sin and vice and bad things. And there's even a perverse imitation of happiness, because you can't help but seek happiness, even if we're looking for love in all the wrong places. But it's not true joy, and it's not the joy that fulfills us. But anyway, keep this formula, so to speak, in mind. That I love something, I desire it. If I desire it, I love it. And therefore I automatically want to become one with it. I love this song. I want to hear this song. I love Buzz's Breath, Idaho. I want to be in Buzz's Breath, Idaho. I love this person. I want to be with that person in all the different ways. And then where we are, the two become one, there's joy. And our ultimate goal is the two become one in heaven with God. So there's Adam and Eve, and this is his fundamental, innate vocation. They're born in paradise. They're in perfect connection, unity with one another. There's no fighting, there's no arguing, there's no blame game, there's none of this stuff going on. and they see each other as good. They desire to be with each other, and they have oneness, and that's joy. So what's love? The two become one. The two want to become one, but there are all kinds of different ways of doing that. And for example, when the donut and I become one, the two become one. I'm the one. The donut only exists to serve me, to become part of me. It's different with human being relationships. Now, shifting into Pope Benedict, he says a lot of amazing things. Well, how do you love yourself? Like love your neighbor as you love yourself. You're supposed to love yourself. And again, there's self-idolatry on the one hand and self-hatred on the other hand. These are both ways of getting it wrong. They're both two sides of the same coin of self-obsession, self-imprisonment, and the two-headed monster almost. It's just not healthy. But what's healthy? Genuine self-love and self-acceptance. And we try so hard, don't we, to do things. It's fine to try to look better and to be healthier and dress fine and all that kind of stuff. That's great. But if we're doing that with that, it's good that I exist if I can just get the perfect hair day and if I can get just the right outfit and, oh, these are the pictures of me that look great. Let me put all those out there and let me burn all the pictures of me that don't look good. Even the ones that don't look good, they don't look good in the way that I like the way they don't look good. And I look sad there, whatever it is. We're stuck about all that kind of stuff. So Pope Benedict says, well, to love yourself, can't do it yourself. You cannot become in harmony with yourself or become to appreciate yourself in the mirror or going off doing self-help type things. Again, self-help is great, but it can't do the most fundamental thing. Pope Benedict says if an individual is to accept himself, someone must say to him, it's good that you exist. I love you. And Pope Benedict does mention that he's borrowing a lot of this from Joseph Pieper. Joseph Pieper has a great book called Faith, Hope, Love. And the one on love is where he lays out a lot of the stuff we're talking about now. And we're going to talk about, Pope Benedict quotes him a lot on this, and using this, it's good that you exist. And again, just in even sometimes a very, very bad situation of the baby, someone is there, hopefully, one person, at least, to just look at you with the eyes of love. And this is a great point he makes. You must say it. It's good that you exist. I love you. Not with words, but with that act of the entire being that we call love. I mean, how does a baby know that it's love? The baby can't think, can't spell, can't read, can't write, but they know it in their bones. And it's like the Bible, and Adam knew Eve, and they conceived a child. So it's not, Googling and get some ideas in my head. It's the deepest in your bones connection of knowing things. So when the baby is smiling at, that's when the kids start shaking and being happy and smiling back. It's touching something so deep inside that, the flower is blossoming. And we often don't say those words, I love you, and sometimes we do, but we say it with our eyes. I mean, the eyes are the windows of the soul. How do you know if someone really loves you or cares about you or likes you? How do they respond when they see you? Is it like Genesis, when God looks at the wildebeest and says, it's good that you exist? That's what gets touched in the heart. And that's what makes us blossom or shrivel up in fear, because we think no one looks at us with love. Just imagine an experiment that today, everyone who looks at you is going to look at you as if there's something wrong with you and just kind of not smile and kind of, they're just unhappy that you're there and like they just tasted a bad piece of melon when they see you. I mean, if everyone looked at you all day like that, you start to feel like, what am I, a piece of garbage? And the contrary, if imagine the life of a baby, everyone who looks at you is trying to smile at you and kiss you and blow raspberries on your belly and squeeze you. I mean, you get that treatment all day. You got to feel pretty good about yourself. So just got to be careful with that pinching and grabbing stuff when you get past a certain age. Channeling John Paul again here, he says, we need this loving look. We've talked a lot about this in previous chapters. You need that look. The words of I love you are really important, and that's good. But in the end, you got to feel it. You got to see it. And that's how people knew Jesus loved them. And Mother Teresa changed the world. I don't know if she ever said to a baby, I love you, at least, a lot anyway. But the actions and mainly the way of looking, not so much, I'm doing all this work for you, like the prodigal son's older brother. I'm killing myself at work, but he's not doing it with love. So it's not that I'm slaving and I'm cleaning and I'm working. Yeah, that is a form of love. But if you're doing it with anger and there's no tenderness and that littlest act of love, like when Teresa talks about washing the dish for this other person, and that's what makes it a divine action. In fact, Pope Benedict again here. We can love ourselves only if we have first been loved by someone else. So that's what unleashes the mystery of every person. Pope Benedict. Man is that strange creature that needs not just physical birth, but also appreciation if he is to subsist. So back in the 60s, there was this movement, like, I'm okay, you're okay, like all these ways of trying to the self-esteem movement. Okay, it definitely got off the rails in a lot of ways, but it did point out that a lot of us feel pretty bad about ourselves and don't have a sense of our dignity in all kinds of goofy ways of, trying to develop that self-esteem. And I'm not making fun of it because people are hurting and trying to find meaning in their life, their dignity. But as it's a great way of putting it, so your body is born, but as a person, you need that love and affection to be born, so to speak, to thrive, to flourish. There's to survive, and then there's to thrive. And to thrive, we need to love and to be loved. And he's pointing especially about the role of a mother. The life a mother gives to her child is not just physical life. She gives total life when she takes a child's tears and turns them into smiles. So this total life, fullness of life. I came that you may have joy, and joy to the full. The glory of God is man fully alive. So it is a problem if you don't feel loved, or if you had real bad things happen in your childhood of neglect. Those are things that have to be dealt with so that we can have that second birth, so to speak, of the continuation of creation of the person blossoming. When the initial harmony of our existence has been rejected, and then birth itself is interrupted, existence itself is not completely established. So creation is not over. It's not Genesis chapter 1 and 2, okay, done, I'm going to go take a nap. Creation is always happening. The moment of time 1 second from now doesn't exist right now. It exists only at the moment of creation. So for a person, it's continually being created, if you think of it that way. Obviously, you do already exist, but in terms of the little shrub growing up to be a big tree, that's a life that's continuing to happen. So when that, when the feeling of love, the experience of love is not there, we start shriveling up and dying. Our life becomes incomprehensible. Life is incomprehensible. Life is senseless. Life sucks, and you die. Why am I here? Why is all this? Because there's plenty in life to break our hearts. There's plenty in life to make us think, why is this happening? This is not the way I would run the world if I were God, and I have to obviously trust that God knows what he's doing. But my own life is just so painful that is it even worth going on? Pope Benedict says, and that feeling, that questioning of my own meaning of life and dignity is the source of the anxiety and despair that incessantly affect mankind. So he's not just talking about, say, the modern, lonely, isolated world where communities and our families have really been hurting. It's a universal thing, because think about it this way: of all the things you are afraid of all of them, I tell you what you're most afraid of, that I'm not lovable, that I'm not loved, and I'm not loved because I'm not lovable. No one looks at me and says, you're good. As I heard one quick anecdote of a kid in high school saying, you go into the cafeteria and everyone has their little group of friends, and they look for their friends, and they see each other, and they find each other. But when I go in the cafeteria, no one looks out for me, and no one lights up when they see me, and no one wants me to come sit at their table. That's one of the worst human experiences you can have, because it's going right to, is it good that I exist? Does anybody else see that it's good that I exist? So that's what we're most anxious and hurting about. Obviously different from things like medical anxiety and depression, things like that. However, these things are always part of the mix in a deep way. Pope Benedict says this abandonment is the root of the phenomenon known as hospitalism. Hospitalism it gives the example of, say, in Eastern Europe at the fall of communism, or during communism, the orphanages you'd have a floor with 100 babies there, and they're in these cribs, and the nurses, God bless them, they go around, they feed the kid, change the diaper, throw them down. The next one, feed the kid, change the diaper, throw them down. They would just go around and go back to the beginning and do it. So the kids never got held, It never got sung to. No one ever squeezed their bellies. No one ever rocked them back and forth. And while they were able to survive, so to speak, they had the physical necessities met, they didn't thrive. How's the promised land described? It's a land flowing with milk and honey. So the milk is survive. The honey is sweetness, is thrive. And we need both to thrive. We need the love. So hospitalism is the sickness of the body's taken care of, but you're isolated. And these poor little kids would start sort of curling back up into the fetal position, turning away, not responding to the human face. And many kids actually died. And through no obvious physical sickness, it's a soul sickness. It's a heart sickness that they, of course, don't understand what's going on in their lives. But as a creature whose fundamental vocation is to love and to be loved, there's no way that creature could survive. So when sin comes into the world, and is the prodigal son off and away from the father, well, okay, what about when I sin? What about all the sin that's, the original sin that I'm born with, and sin was I conceived? Is it still good that I exist? Take the part, I've gone off, I've done A, B, C, and D, I totally do this and that, what about now? Where's my dignity now? Where's my lovability now? Are you going to pretend all that stuff didn't happen? Or are you just going to glance over that? It has to be dealt with. St. Paul puts it this way about this condition we're in. I do not understand my own actions, for I do not do what I want, but I do the very thing I hate. For I do not do the good I want, but I do the evil I do not want. This is universal experience. I want to be more kind. I just bit someone's head off. I want to wake up at 5 and go jogging. I got up at 11 and had a dozen donuts. I want to stop playing video games after 20 minutes, and I just missed 4 days of school. I'm still in my basement playing video games. Pick an example, any example of, I can see what's good, but I can't do it. It's like Moses, who represents the old law. I can see what's good, but I can't do it. So Moses gets to Mount Nebo, and he can see the promised land, but he can't go into the promised land because I can see the law, and I want to do it, but I can't do it. I can't be like Christ on my own. Never mind, loving the people I love, but loving your enemies, dying for your enemies. I'm having a hard time just not eating too much butter in the morning. I'm a mess here. And St. Paul says, 3 times I begged the Lord about this, that it might leave me. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. For power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I am content with the weakness. When I am weak, then I am strong. We don't know what it was St. Paul kept begging God. Was it a physical illness? Was it a spiritual thing? Was it his pride and arrogance? Without due respect, he bragged about himself a lot in the Bible. I don't know. Whatever it was, God said, no, it's better for you to have this. This is a really hard thing. But wouldn't my life be better if I didn't have this physical illness? If I didn't have cancer? Wouldn't it be better if I didn't have this horrible experience in my youth? If I didn't do this terrible thing myself to someone else? Wouldn't it be better? And this is God saying, no. Look, you made your choices and you weren't fated to do that, or these things happened to you, and I didn't send these bad things to you, but accept it. And in your weakness, in your brokenness, that's where the action is going to be. That's exactly the point where you're going to meet me as a Messiah and you're going to receive the gift of being loved.